Won't it be so convenient to know where exactly to add flourishes to specific letters based on where they are in a word? You're in luck because that's exactly what today's video is about. In the previous video, we have learned how to create loops that are the basis of flourishing, starting from the basic shapes of O and S that's made up of overturn and underturns. Now we're gonna tag these flourishing loops to specific letters depending on where they occur in a word. Now I want you to think of yourself as a flourishing detective. Examine the letters that make up a word and let that guide you in creating embellishments that seem the most natural. As you do a rough initial sketch of the word, get a feel for the rhythm of the word in terms of the strokes that it's comprised of. That will help you to better imagine possibilities for where flourishing could occur, whether within or around the word. Now these could be anywhere, the start of a word or line, the end of a word or line, above a word, below a word, the top of your ascender loops, the bottom of your descenders. So many choices. If you've enjoyed my Joy of Lettering Jam journey on YouTube, where I create 100 pieces of ombre lettering with flourishing, you'll see that I especially love exit strokes because that's where I tag on my flourishing loops. Have a look at the playlist to find many examples of flourishing to inspire you. But exit strokes are not the only opportunity for you to tag on your flourishing loops. In this video, I'm going to break down where to flourish by groups of letters so that you have an idea of where you can add your flourishing loops to. Now I hope you have practiced creating loops based on the exercises in the previous video in the series. And now it's time to take the leap to extend your letters with the flourishing loops. Now over time, like everything else, feel free to break the rules when you're coming out with your own flourishing style. But if you're new to flourishing, I offer some simple rules of thumb so that it's easier for you to get started. And similar to my basic brush pen calligraphy tutorials, we will group letters with similar characteristics together. That will help you to think in clusters rather than 24 separate alphabets. Because once you can see patterns within each group of letters, you'll become more confident linking flourishing loops and letters as you get more familiar with them. Ready? Let's get started. The first group of letters are letters with exit strokes pointing up. These are C, E, I, O, R, V, W, and perhaps S, depending on how you write it. For these groups of letters, because of the underturn and the exit stroke pointing upwards, flourishing in the same direction, upwards, will give you the greatest legibility. Let's do an example of the letter W. Basic flourishing can occur leading to the entrance strokes of these letters if they occur at the start of the word. Let's look at the word was. If the W occurs at the start of the word, we can add a simple swash. Now let's look at the word you. Because W is in the middle of the word, there's very little chance to do flourishing because you need the exit stroke of the letter W to be linked to the next letter E. Now let's look at the word do where the letter W is at the end. Here, the exit stroke can gloriously transform itself into a flourish following the direction of the exit stroke upwards. So, for this group of letters, the greatest opportunity to add flourishes to them will happen if they're at the start or end of a word, but not the middle. If you're finding this tutorial useful so far, do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. The next group of letters are those with descenders. This is your G, your J, P, Q, Y, and Z. For these letters, flourishing can be done at the top or at the bottom of the letter. Let's look at the letter Y. You can have the flourishing at the bottom of the letter like this. Or you can bring up the exit stroke and have the flourishing at the top of the letter. If the letter occurs at the start of the word, there might be less opportunities for flourishing because you need the exit stroke to link to the next letter, like in this word, yes. Now, of course, you can really push it if you want it like this, but it could be a little awkward because of the angle of the stroke. Generally, if you want to do a flourishing, you can leave the letter unconnected to the next one, like so. If these letters occur in the middle of a word, the exit stroke can be extended in a downward direction, and the flourishing can occur at the bottom of the word. For example, for the word I, the flourish follows the exit stroke and occurs at the bottom of the word. Now, if these letters occur at the end of the word, then a flourishing can be done easily at the top or the bottom of the letter. Next group of letters are the letters with exit stroke pointing downwards. This can be A, H, K, M, U, X, and N. For these letters, the exit strokes point downwards, and these strokes can be extended into a flourish. The exit stroke can also be combined with an underturn stroke and then extended upwards further, for more flourishing if these letters occur at the end of the word. Let's use an example of the letter N. If the letter occurs at the start of the word, there might be less opportunities for flourishing if you need the exit stroke to link to the next letter like this, in the word not. So, if you want to do a flourishing with the letter N, leave it disconnected to the next letter O. Because of the downward direction of the exit stroke, if these groups of letters are found in the middle of the word, then you can leave it unconnected to the next letter. You can do a flourishing at the bottom of the word, like the example of the word one below. If you don't have many letters after, you can also try to do a flourish at the top of the word. But because of the downward exit stroke, I would recommend having the flourish at the bottom of the word instead. If these groups of letters are found at the end of the word, well then you can go to town. You can have the flourish at the top, on the right, or at the bottom, like this word van. Fourthly, we have letters with a long stem. These include D, F, H, K, L, and T. Now the long stem offers some opportunities to combine with loops to create flourishing by extending the loop upwards or downwards. Let's take the letter D. In the word dad, the letter D occurs at the start. Extending the exit stroke downwards will lead to a flourish at the bottom of the word. I can also extend the stem above and have the flourishing done at the top of the word. Let's say the D occurs in the middle of the word, like for this word idea. It's the same thing, but the flourishing can occur at the top or at the bottom of the word. Same thing too if the D occurs at the end of the word. The flourishing can happen at the bottom or the top of the word. So there's so many opportunities to extend the stem upwards or downwards. However, there's a slight challenge with the letter B, even though it also has a long stem. As we have seen, the lower part of the stem of D extends itself nicely to a downward flourishing that can occur at the start, middle, or end of the word. Let's contrast the letter B to D. On the other hand, while the upper part of the stem of B can be extended into a flourish, its lower part needs to be connected to the curved bow of B. So you can't flourish downwards from the bottom of the stem. Let's take this word bed. You can definitely do the flourishing following the top of the stem, but if you're trying to extend the bottom of the stem into a flourish, the letter becomes a little bit illegible. In fact, in this case, it looks more like an uppercase L. And lastly, there's the special case of X. Now on the right side of X, there is an arm that can be extended upwards and a leg that can be extended downwards. Similarly, on the left of X, flourishing can also occur as the upper arm and the lower leg can also be extended. So that means that flourishing can occur at any point around the letter as long as it's not an arm or leg that's connected to the next letter. Let's look at the word box. You can extend the stroke in both directions like so. Because there are no fixed rules in flourishing, you can take the handy guide below as a reference point for your initial journey in flourishing. This is found in the playbook that you can download below. Remember, the guidelines are not at all definitive, and as you progress in your flourishing journey, you're likely to find that there are so many possibilities to add your flourishing beyond these guidelines. If you're interested to turn your brush lettering into compositions that includes flourishing and embellishments, especially for the upcoming holiday season, I would love to invite you to my course. It focuses on helping you to create endless calligraphy designs using basic shapes and modern calligraphy. I love breaking down for you what looks complex into simple principles. In the next video, I'm so excited to show you how we're going to apply the tips that I shared in this video. I'll be showing you how we flourish around a word. Thanks so much for watching. Hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to watch more of such similar tutorials. See you in the next video.